Good evening, good evening, good evening. God bless you to those of you who are coming into the broadcast on this evening. Come on in. We have a special feature this evening from Next Level Up Publishing. I have on my publishing hat tonight as I introduce and chat it up with another living on purpose. See, I get the things mixed up. Next level up. Living on purpose too. Next level up, a publishing author. Okay. And I'm excited tonight, and it's going to be a good conversation. So come on in. Come on in. Listen, for those of you who are coming in tonight, and you may not be familiar with moi, my name is Kimberly Jones. I am the CEO of Next Level Up Publishing. I have my publishing hat on tonight. You may have seen me out here talking about coaching and talking about, ministry and things of that sort. You just never know what you're going to get, right? You never know which version of me you're going to get. But tonight, I love when I get to do this right here because Next Level Up Publishing is one of the things that the Lord kind of led me to do to assist authors in getting their stories out into the world. And so I often say that the story needs to get out of their heads and out of their hearts and into the world so that their story can be impactful and help somebody else, bless somebody else, give somebody else an answer, give somebody else encouragement about their lives through your story, through your message, through your knowledge. And so I love doing this. I love working with Dudley, a publishing house, Jasmine Dudley, Kenyon Dudley. Let me tell you, we have a partnership and a collab going on where we really see God do some amazing things through the authors that come through Next Level Up Publishing. And they do an amazing job in walking alongside these authors through the process. We'll talk about the process a little more because all of our authors, the majority of them have gone through a boot camp, and then from the boot camp of writing their books in just a few days, have just decided to go the next step further to have their writings published. So I always get excited about that. I love the whole opportunity, and I do call it an opportunity that we get to be authors and write books. I've written several books myself, still writing, gonna keep on writing till I can't write no more. Okay. And so this is near and dear to my heart. And I'm gonna bring in my special guest now, and we're gonna have a conversation about her process and what it took for her to get on this side of publishing and being at the point where she is an accomplished author. So let me bring my guest on tonight, and we're going to bring her in. There she is. There is Taheise Adele Wells. The whole name.
The whole name.
God bless you, Taheise. Listen, I am so excited about tonight. I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for this time that we would get to talk about this book that has created such a buzz and a stir out in the world as you have released it and gotten it into the hands of so many people. I just really want to get and dig into all of the background work that has gone into this and kind of pick your brain a little bit tonight as we talk about 30 summers left. Oh my goodness. 30 summers. Very excited about this work. Okay. And listen, tonight, as those of you are coming in, do me a favor before I let Taheise go here. Do me a favor and share out the broadcast and listen very closely, because you might be that next author. You might be the next one that I'm interviewing as an accomplished author. So do me a favor and share this out tonight. Let somebody know that Next Level Up Publishing is featuring another one of our amazing authors. And I am going to go on and allow Taheise to go on and introduce herself.
Okay. So my name is Taheise Adele Wells. I love my whole name, so I do use it often. Um, However, for the purposes of me becoming an author, I decided authoress Taheise is beautiful as well. And so, um, a little bit about me. I just turned 50 this year. I'm excited about that. A lot of great things have happened in 2022 for me. I did some traveling. Um, and I turned, was that half a century years old? And I wrote a book. I published a book. I am now a published author. And I am just so excited to be here, to have been able to tell my story in detail and prayerfully touch many lives by doing so. So I'm really glad to be here and so happy. I have to say that I was connected to you, Apostle Kimberly Jones, and Jasmine Dudley. Just being connected to you guys have really accelerated this process for me. So I appreciate you both.
Awesome. Awesome. And we appreciate you. We appreciate your diligence and willingness to go the long haul as it pertains to the publishing process and getting this book, again, out of your head and into the world. As a matter of fact, guys, it is available on Amazon. And Taheise, are you also sharing it on other platforms or websites or anything like that?
It is on Amazon, like you just mentioned. I actually have an ebook as well, so you can get the ebook on Amazon, and it's on Barnes and Noble, also online.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll flash this up some more before it's all over. But we want to get into our interview and our, just getting inside of the head of this amazing author on tonight. Again, thank you for those of you who are watching, who are tuning in. I am Kimberly Jones. I am the CEO of Next Level Up Publishing, and we work with amazing authors like Taheise in the process of getting their books and their stories out into the world. And one thing that I love about walking alongside authors and getting their books out into the people's hands who need them, I love that most of the people who I work with, most of my clients are women who have stories. Women, and don't we all have? We all have a
We
story,
do.
but
We
I
do.
love the stories that I get to kind of peek into through the process of writing the book and then publishing the book. So let's talk about this whole process of, well, no, let me back it up before I jump into that.
Hmm.
And I want to talk about what did did you always know that you would eventually write, or how did this thing come up? I mean, I know you had an amazing story to share, but did you know earlier on in your life that one day, and you had the aspiration of one day becoming an author?
So aspiration of becoming an author, I think it was always in the back of my mind. I mean, as a young girl, I had journals upon journals that I would write in and write about everything, right, that was going on in my life. And so, and I was always told that I was a great writer. And so I just kept going with that. And to be honest with you, even into my younger adult years, I wrote up until probably um, maybe halfway into my marriage. It kind of slowed down some. But yeah, I've always been writing. And more importantly, even when I was writing in my journals, I was writing songs. So I went from rap. So I wrote rap, I wrote R&B, and then went on to gospel. So have I been writing all my life? Absolutely. So I knew that writing would come into play somewhere along the line.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Pastor Vorley is on, and she says that you have always been a great writer, and I know you and Pastor Vorley go way, way back,
Way
so you
back.
can you can speak to that confidently, right?
Hmm.
One of the things that I always say is that success there are clues that lead to success, or success leaves clues. And I
Mm,
think even sometimes when we look at some of the attributes and characteristics that sometimes we just take for granted, that it really clues us into the direction that God is taking us, or the area that He really wants to use in order for Him to get the maximum amount of glory out of our lives, and
absolutely.
also to showcase us in those different areas. So let's talk more specifically about what sparked the writing of this book. Now we know the story, like the story is amazing, and the book is so well written. Guys, you got to get a copy of the book. So we're not going to give away all the juicy details.
Right, right.
We'll just give them enough, Taheise, to make them get out there on Amazon and get their copy, right?
Exactly,
But
exactly.
let's talk about this. Let's take it, a little bit more direct in this particular book. What sparked your writing this book?
So there were a couple of things that sparked the writing. It actually had been in the works in my mind for over 10 years. Um, Without giving away a lot, my husband and I experienced hardship very early on in our marriage. And so a few years after that, when we got to a more stable place in our relationship, we were like, man, this is a story to tell. And he already said to me, he was like, you are a good writer. He was like, I can't do it, but you could certainly do this. And so it was always in my mind to write our story. I can remember that we went from having the big chunky computer back in the day. My mother actually gave it to us. We didn't buy our own. We had our own chunky computer, and then that got a virus, and that went away. And then I got this little laptop that I was going to work on, and then that broke. And so in 2015, I had started a new job, and they had a computer program, and I wanted to get a new computer, and I wanted to get one with the purpose of writing our story. This is 2015.
Hmm.
And so, I had to talk with my husband about it, and I talked with Dante, and he said, okay, go ahead, get the computer so you can write the book. That's what I bought it for. And that was 2015. However, last year, this time, even a little earlier, maybe in November, that that laptop died. It
Wow.
died. And I still had not wrote the story. I had never wrote it down on paper. I never sat down to write it. Even though I got that laptop in 2015, I never actually sat down to write it. And over these past couple of years, and even more recently, I had an opportunity to just kind of think about why that had not been done.
Hmm.
And I think subconsciously, I was always looking for the story to have this this miraculous turn of events, so to speak. And
Wow.
you know a little bit of the story, and so to have this, I wanted this miraculous turn of events, um, and that you know did not happen the way I intended it to.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably one of the reasons why it was never written. And so when you talk about all things working together for good,
Hmm.
and I use that scripture a lot because a couple of years ago I couldn't even say that scripture. I was like, that
Wow.
I couldn't even say it. But he uses all of it. And so um, being able to write this story really so quickly,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and doing it in the time that I did it is really, that is miraculous actually.
Yeah.
It did turn out miraculous. It
Wow.
did. Yeah.
Wow. So you just saw everything just kind of come into place. And it sounds like, and I know it's like this for a lot of people who write and do other things in life, whatever your purpose is, you don't see it coming together. You don't understand how it's all going to pan out. But when you get on the other side of it, you see the whole time, like you said, it works together for good. And you see how God was in it the whole time.
The
God
whole
was in it the
time.
whole time,
The
right?
whole time. Yeah.
as I was reading your book and thinking about God being in it the whole time, your story is one of I would say pain, and purpose. All of that kind of in there throughout the pages of this book. Let's talk about that a little bit, about how God turns pain or uses pain for purpose, because I think that's exactly what has happened here.
Mm, mm. um, let me start off by saying that I'm still on that healing journey, but I
Yeah,
do believe that that healing journey has been accelerated. Um, you know, I still have my moments. However, because I can do more reflection than anything else, at this point, um, I am able to, you know what, let me even say this, because this is really important and this is really key. So in 2019, October 27th, I believe, there was a men's conference that you were at, you and your husband were at. And um, my husband asked me to bring him to the conference, and I was really only supposed to stay, I think, that Friday evening, but I wind up staying Saturday all day. And then this is what happened. Your husband, Apostle Lewis Jones, was praying for my husband, and I was in the back of the room. They were all the way up front. I was in the back of the room. And when he began to pray for Dante, you ran, you ran to me and you touched me to pray for me, and you stopped. And what you said to me was, "You have been on assignment." I can't remember everything else you said,
mm,
but you said, "You have been on assignment and the Lord is well pleased with you."
wow.
That is all I remember. And I remember a couple days after that, maybe not even a couple of days, because I know how I am when I'm excited about something and when I realize what God has done. I remember writing you saying, "Thank you so much for telling me what this whole
Yeah,
journey
yeah,
has been about. I get it now." And not that I didn't before, but sometimes it takes just one word from the Lord to
wow.
just really put you right back in place where you need to be. And who would have known that 8 months later that my husband would transition?
Wow.
I didn't even know that. I just had a renewed purpose after what the Lord said through you,
Yeah.
that this was an assignment that I was on. And I was just like, wow, that's what this whole thing has been about. I get it. I get it now. And so when you talk about turning pain into purpose,
Hmm.
the things that happened after my husband transition was just really, you know, uh, it was a struggle for me for a good while. And then I saw how the Lord just wooed him. He just wooed me back to him. Like
Mm,
it didn't matter what I did or what I wasn't doing, which wasn't much because we were in the middle of a pandemic. And I was really grateful for that because I didn't want to be around people. I felt uncovered. Um, I felt, uh, I felt a lot of things. But you know, I think the pain was. It seemed almost worse after my husband transitioned because I felt guilty about my feelings and the different things that I had even shared with him about this whole journey that we had been on because it was so unexpected.
yeah.
It was so not what I wanted
Wow.
at all. And yet, God knew. You said this earlier about, God knowing he was with us through it all. And he was with us through it all because he knew the type of child that I was going to the type of child I was. He knew the type of training I was going to receive as a child that was going to gear my mind in a certain direction, and that I would meet this young man at the time that I met him, and that I would hold on to him and
Yeah.
expect one thing and absolutely get something totally different. And he graced me for all of it. So, I mean, the purpose now, all that I went through has really led to me saying, you know what? Um, because the Lord told me that He is pleased, because I know that I was absolutely loved and cared for by my husband. I'm able to now take that and share that with others, maybe other wives, even other husbands.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he's graced me for all of it. I mean, I'm able to take all of that and use it even in my organizing business. I've had a few people just kind of speak into my life about helping those who are just gripped by the time, and they can't seem to move forward, and even letting go of things, and how I
Yeah.
was able to do that, and kind of share that with others. So, I'm excited to see how God uses this, but I know He's going to, because I understand that He doesn't waste anything, and He already knew, and so He already planned for it, and so I'm just open, and I'm just here. I'm just here for it.
That is so good. It's amazing how God, even thinking back, I didn't even think about that, what you shared when we were there and ministered. And I remember that moment. I do. I remember it very clearly. Um, and God just in all of his sovereignty,
Yeah.
he just puts things together, because who would have ever thought, like you said, 8 months later that, Dante would have transitioned. And then even
Mhm.
going beyond that, who would have known that, I would have the opportunity to work with you
Mhm.
and getting that story out.
Exactly.
Wow.
All God.
Isn't that something? That's how God is. And
Yep.
you've done such an amazing job. I was talking about the process for this, and I want you to share a little bit about the process for writing a book, because we went from beginning all the way through when we did the boot camp and all of that.
Mhm.
Talk about your process and what were the
Sure.
challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things was is that on the day when I was in the hospital with my husband, and it was clear that he um, he was no longer with us. I
Mm,
told him that I would write the book.
wow.
Didn't know how. Um, didn't necessarily want to, because the story was supposed to be that he lived, that he, was healed from all of it, from everything that had been ailing him. He was no longer suffering in that manner, and I wanted it all here on earth. So, I don't know, God knows, but I mean, I didn't know why I said that to him at that particular moment, a couple of hours before he transitioned. But that's what I said to him. And so, that was June of 2020. And I was like, oh gosh, what do I need to do? So I did at some point gather my journals, because, uh, you know, I, I had known Dante half my life. So I gathered my journals and thought, I'll skim through these and kind of, put something together. Again, never did it. And so in December of 2021, I went over to Pastor Worley's house, um, just to see her, and talk. And I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to write this book.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do this. And she was like, well, it could be very healing for you. She was like, you're going to feel the feelings anyway, but it can be very healing for you. I said, yeah, I get that. I don't know. And then she tells me about the writing your book boot camp. And I had seen it on Facebook. I had seen you and Jasmine promoting it on Facebook. So I had thought about it, and I was just like, she was like, maybe you might want to look into it. So that was in December. Now, mind you, my laptop had died in November.
Mhm.
Um, my best friend bought me a laptop probably a couple of weeks before I went to visit Pastor Warlia. So I had a new laptop, and I looked into the writing your book boot camp. I saw that it was for 7 days. I was like, this is interesting. This will get me started, right? This will get me started. So
Right.
this is good. So I decided to go ahead and do it. Um, and I have to say to you that those 7 days were exhilarating.
Yeah.
Um, I was I don't, the word is not fear. Well, okay, we'll say maybe fearful. I was fearful about what I was going to feel in the whole process. How I
Mm.
was going to feel about writing this story, about recounting
Yeah.
um all of our history together, right? And I am a very detailed person, and so I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel doing this. But I remember distinctly on day, I want to say we started, I believe we started, I feel like we started in the middle of the week. All I know is it was a Sunday, and that might have been, I think I was writing, no, we started on a Friday. I remember we started on a Friday. Sunday was the third day, and we were writing the second chapter.
Hmm.
I was also had finished participating in the prayer boot camp.
The soul care.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that didn't turn out the way that I thought it was supposed to be, but it was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I needed because I was delivered from the spirit of grief. And I
Yeah.
will tell
I
anybody
remember
this.
that. I
Yes,
remember that.
yes. And I told my barber this on the day that he cut my hair for my book launch. I was just sharing with him. I was like, I was delivered from the spirit of grief, and I was able to write the book in 7 days because of it. And so I experienced
Yeah.
that deliverance. And then shortly after that, I started the Writing Your Book boot camp. And that was like the third day. I remember it was on a Sunday night, and I was sitting literally in this very spot that I'm sitting in now in my dining room. I was on my computer, and I was giddy, like I was giddy, laughing at what I was writing about how I met him, about the details that I was writing about how I met him and how he made me feel and all of these different things. And I was so giddy and so excited that I called one of my girlfriends, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm having so much fun like writing this. So it was not a hardship at all. Not that was not my experience. It was not at all what I thought. What I was concerned about did not happen. I recounted the things, but I didn't relive them in the sense of it bringing pain, or it bringing sadness. It was really a joy, and I got it. I did it in 7 days.
Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah. I remember your excitement. I remember the day in the because remember that that boot camp was supposed to have gone one way, and God just totally, that was just total deliverance. I guess I mean it always ends up, in deliverance some way.
Yep.
And yeah, and it was so many people that were set free. But I remember that day, like there were spots and moments in those journeys that just stand out. And I remember the day when you're like, I got it. Like it was like this whole light bulb coming on, the light coming on, and you're like, oh, I'm ready. Like I'm ready.
Mhm.
And so God had really ordered your steps in that to prepare you for writing your story. And you
Absolutely.
were on it. Let me tell you, you were on it in that boot camp. You were not playing. Let me tell you, you were not playing. The name of your book, 30 Summers Left. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Look, I'm a little shy about that because here's the thing. So you know, again, this book has been 10 plus years in the making, and so I wrote down several titles in my notes in my phone, and I remember when we were in the boot camp. I I think this was my top title actually, but I think I said it to you guys like maybe it was the second or third one or whatever. And you and Jasmine both lit up and I'm like, ooh, 30 summers left. I like that, right? Because it just really it catches your attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really, really does. However, when I told you what it meant to me and where I kind of got it from, I was gently rebuked. I was gently rebuked because I was talking about the time that we have left on this earth.
Yeah.
And so here's what I would say now.
Yeah.
As I've had some time to, and I've been mulling this over. How do you describe this? How do you connect this to your story? I would say that time is short
Mm.
and love well.
Mm.
Time is short and love well because the truth of the matter is that we don't know how long we have on this earth or with one another. We don't know. We simply don't know. We want it to be long. We want it to be prosperous. We want it to be all of these things. I wanted it to be with my husband, all of these things, a long time, all of that. And it was not. And so 30 summers left is saying, hey, time is short. Make sure you love on your people well. And can I tell you that um, I'm doing that with who is still here. I'm doing that with my family. I'm doing
Yeah.
that with my mom and dad. Not everybody has their mother and father at 50 years old. Not everyone has their mother and father still here. I'm doing that with my mother and father. I'm doing that with my sisters. I'm doing that, with my nieces and my nephews because I understand that life can take a different turn. And things can happen in an instant and change you forever. And so, yeah, I would. I mean, that's simple, but that's the fact.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, it does. It does put you in that mindset and sobers you up in a sense
Hmm.
of, what am I doing? I always do this thing. I have my living on purpose shirt on today.
Hmm.
And I always talk about living on purpose and making every day count.
Yeah.
And it makes you look at life and it makes you look at, we talked about it on this morning in our group
Yeah.
this morning. We
Yeah.
talked about, how uncertain and how surprising sometimes
Hmm.
life is and how we have to, I say it like this to Heath. I say, we should live every day like it's our first day and our last day.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
we don't know,
We don't know.
it may sound a little, morbid. I don't want to think about, but if you live like that, you get everything out of
Mm.
the day that's
Hmm.
there,
Yeah.
you just get
Absolutely.
live. You live, as I often tell folk, live out loud.
Hmm.
Don't miss out on any opportunities. Don't leave any stone unturned.
Hmm.
Don't turn down anything except your collar, right?
Right. Right.
Know what God is doing in and through a thing. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I even my shirt that I have on, and I wore this purposely because I had this designed from myself to wear for
Yes.
my 50th birthday.
Wow.
And so I don't know if it can really be seen, but of course you can see the live really big.
Yes.
And my name, Ty, my nickname, Ty and live is inside of the live. The
Oh,
reason
okay.
why it's like this is because that is exactly what um, Dante's cousin, when he was eulogizing him at his service, he said to me directly, he said, "Live, Ty,
That's it. Yeah,
live."
that's in your
And when
book.
that has kept, that has resonated in my mind and in my heart for these last few years, that I've got to live. Like I've got to continue living. There's a reason why I'm still here, and so I'm going to live, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing.
I love it. In reading your book, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, um, wanting to know, well, what's going to happen next.
Next. Mhm.
How it leaves you with questions of, well, how is this going to turn around, and how is
Mhm.
this going to work? You're giving all the details of your life and your situations. What is it in you that allowed you? Because I noticed this from your book, the resiliency, the fight,
Mhm.
you're made of some stuff, Taheise, that not many can really relate to, or that are not familiar with. What is it in you that allowed you to, to make it through the things that you've made it through in life?
Nobody but the Lord. I don't really know what else to ascribe it to. I am I was built I'm he built me to be very determined, right? And so when I want something,
Yeah.
when I decide that I want something, I don't really let a whole lot of things stop me.
Yeah, I saw that in the book. I got to get the book if you want to know what we're talking about. You got to get the book. I'm telling you, it's in here, y'all. She ain't never lied, okay?
And listen, that has, it has carried me, through a lot of situations, even, in the role reversal of me and my husband becoming one. um I was like, it just was a thing of, you know what, Lord, you must have something really great on the other side of this, because this is something. And so I think, he knew that I was going to keep going and keep trying to find it and keep looking for it. And I love Dante. I love it. I love him. And so it was never a question of it was never a question of whether I loved him or not. It was just about, um, how I was going to get, what step was I going to take next? What was I going to do? It was really just all of that. And so, I just was like, okay, Lord, what do we do next? Okay, what happens next? What are we going to do next? And just always just
Right.
waiting to see what God was going to do throughout it all, because I just believed that it was going to turn out. I just believed that it was going to turn out for our good.
Yeah.
I just always believed that. I just always believed that. So I can't ascribe it to anything else but that. I just, really look to the Lord to say, okay, this got to turn out. This has got to work out. It's got to work out. And it didn't work out in the way that I intended it. But however, um, someone said something to me. I just came back from Punta Cana. And a friend of mine who I grew up, she knew me before I met Dante. She said this, and this really, I had to stop the conversation. She said, the gift of losing your husband, the gift of losing your husband, the gift of losing your husband. I was like, oh my God, like what? I don't, I'm still unpacking that sentence. Um, but I know that there is something, I know that there is something there, and I know that it's good. I know that it's good. But yeah, that really kind of that really kind of knocked me sideways. But I was just like, wow, wow, okay, Lord, you know, I'm still here for a reason, and I understand that. And because I understand that, whatever you got, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I think as you were saying that the gift of your friend saying the gift of losing your husband, I don't know, I guess I took that a step further. Um the gift of losing your husband and living past it, that
Yeah,
that right there is that's
yeah,
amazing,
yeah.
to land on your feet,
Hmm.
still, of course, maneuvering through this whole process, like you said earlier, but the gift to be able to tell the world, that you can make it.
You can make it. Yep.
Ah,
Yeah, you can make it. And he's already given me titles, and more books to write in regards to that. That you can make it. Yeah,
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 yeah. I,
yeah.
I think, and I was going to ask you about that because in reading the book, I was like, there's a part two, or
Yes.
no?
There's a two and a three.
Okay, okay, okay,
You just been downloading stuff, and I'm like, okay, Lord.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, there's
yeah.
something after this. Elder Cheryl is on, and I'm sure
Hmm.
she can totally relate to what you're talking about, having
Yep,
gone through the same thing.
absolutely.
Understanding God trusts you to live through it and still love Him. That's the
Yeah.
gift, that God trusts you,
Hmm.
with that. And I know, there's some things you're like, God, you don't necessarily have to
Trust me with that,
do
right?
this. But He knows, that whole thing about God knowing how much we can bear, and not putting more on us. It's true. It doesn't feel like that all the time.
No, it doesn't.
Oh my goodness, but it is so very, very true. What
Yeah.
would you say? What would you say if you had to, like, in 3 or 4 words or a sentence, just summarize, like, Tahise's philosophy of life? Like, I know you're a woman of faith. I know, what belief do you operate within the context of, that allows you to move forward in your life and things that you've gone through?
What I've learned is that um, life is like life is like a butterfly. I know you love butterflies. So do I. And what I mean by that is that and by the way, I saw so many in Punta Cana. It was amazing to just they were just
All over the
flying
place, right?
all around me, all over. It was amazing. So, but life is like, but I'm realizing this now that, we look at the butterfly and we're amazed at the beauty, the colors, the vivid colors, the way they flutter, the way they can, fly so high, and all of those different things. But we don't necessarily take into account, um, the sacrifice that it took, the cost that it took for them to become that beautiful, for them to become, that, to be able to take that kind of flight. And so the reason why I say that is because, my idea of what marriage, you know, uh, was, is that, I would be a stay at home wife,
Mm-hmm.
that I would, push my husband and allow him to be the best, because, Dante had all of these ideas about what he wanted. He was, he wanted what he wanted to do for his family, and I wanted that to include me, and it did include me. Um, and so I thought I was going to sit back and kind of just, reap the fruits of it all, right? And God had a different plan, in that it was like, no, I need you to also be a participant. I
Yeah.
need you to also be a participant in this. You have to be a participant in the sacrifice. You have to be a participant in the compromise. You have to be a participant in the suffering. You have to be a participant um, in this whole relationship. You're not just going to sit back and allow, I've got something in this for you as well. And
Yeah.
so uh I think life can be beautiful like a butterfly, but we also have to count the cost of what it
Yeah.
took for that
Wow.
butterfly to become what it became, because it
Wow.
didn't start off like that. Neither
Wow.
did my marriage. Neither does life for most of us. It does
Right.
not, does not start in a beautiful place. And even if it does, believe me, along the way, there's going to be some cocoons, there's going to be some stretching, there's going to be some some things that go on that you're not going to necessarily like. And I'm at 50 years old, I'm just realizing that now.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing that now. And so yeah, that keeps me going, because I know that 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 I'm still a work in progress, and yet I'm a masterpiece at the same time, because that's
Absolutely.
how he created me.
I love it. Both. Both.
Both.
A work in progress and a masterpiece. And understanding that process of transformation and the metamorphosis, we want the end product, right? We want the
Absolutely,
beauty.
we all do.
Oh, Jesus. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yep.
the process,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've discovered, probably could tell y'all kind of a little, you probably know too, because you love butterflies. There are these interesting things about butterflies is um, the the level of their beauty or the magnitude of the beauty of a butterfly is directly correlated with how much movement and struggle they have of
And
making it out of that cocoon.
oh
So
my,
the harder it was, the more difficult it was, the more beautiful they become. And so there's a price to pay for these wonderful outcomes. I was thinking about what you said about expecting certain things in your life to be a certain way and not being that way. And so, I compare that to like a sharp turns, like when you're traveling down a road and you
mm-hmm.
almost miss your turn. And so all of a sudden you make these sharp turns to try, to get your exit or to make the turn that you wanted
Yes,
to just stay on the path. And I just heard the Lord say, they're sharp turns to us, but it's a straight line for him.
my goodness,
Those things that we're like, oh, caught me off guard. God is like,
didn't catch him off.
mm-mm, that is not a sharp turn at all. That is
Nope.
straight and directly on the trajectory that I already mapped out for your life.
Yeah,
And if you'll just keep your hand in my hand, you'll get to your final destination. Doesn't mean that you won't be, kind of thrown around, juggled around
right.
a bit in those times, but
Yeah,
he's at the helm of it all,
yes, he
directing
is.
us. He
He
is.
is.
So yeah, your story just speaks to that. Y'all, if you are watching and you're watching, either you're on tonight or you're watching by replay, I back up in the comments, I put a link for the book. And it looks like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but that is actually the link to Amazon. And if you click on that link, it'll take you over to Amazon to go on and get your copy of 30 Summers Left right now. I say this about all my authors because we just produce amazing authors. But this is a must read.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must read. If you've ever had any level of challenge, any level of, like we just talked about, the twists and the turns of life, and you've ever been, even disappointed at the way
Mm-hmm.
things have turned out,
Yeah.
let me tell you, this book will help your whole life. It will help your whole life. I love what tell me about how it seems like you were so transparent. You were
Mm-hmm.
so transparent in the book, Taheise. Um, how easy, difficult? Was there an option? Did you wrestle with it? How was that?
No, no. Those who know me know that I don't wrestle with that. If you have an opportunity to know me, I'm really an open book. when you know how we were talking this morning about signs that someone may be struggling with depression. I have struggled with depression. Um, and when I am struggling in that way, I don't want to be around. I isolate myself. I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want to talk to anyone. And so if I'm talking, if I'm wanting to be around and be seen and all of those things, and you know that all is well. And so it was not a struggle at all for me, because that's just who I am. You know, I think that, you know, sharing, not many of us probably would share some of the things that I shared. Not
Mm-hmm.
many of us would, you know, would do that. But I think it's important because I'm sure there were many, or will be many, that will read this book and they will be free to even let go of some of their guilt, um, be able to, you know, heal from their past, look forward to their future, understand that God loves them in spite of it all, um, because of it all, because He already knew it was going to happen. He already knew what we were going to do, and I think that's the thing that kind of blows my mind. If He already knew, letting somebody else read it, letting somebody else read it does not bother me at all. He
Come on.
already knew. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
Right.
good.
That's good.
Mm.
We need that. I love it. I'm transparent, and I believe that if God allowed us to make it through, it was for his glory. Like at the end of the day, it's for his glory. And who are we to, it's not really our testimony, it's a testimony of the faithfulness of God, right? Who are we to
Absolutely.
hold his testimony back
That's
that
right.
speaks to who he is and how amazing he is in
That's
our lives. So man, it's just great. Listen, y'all, we're my name is Kimberly Jones. For those who are coming in or may come in later, I'm Kimberly Jones. I'm the CEO of Next Level Up Publishing. I am chatting tonight with authoress
right.
Taheise Adele Wells. She is the author of 30 Summers Left. It's a memoir, and it is a fire book. Let me tell you. And from beginning to end, it pulls you in, and it's this type of reflective power to this book that has you really, you're reading the book, but at the same time, you're thinking in your head, what would I have done?
Yeah.
And how does this mirror my life? And it, for me, made me begin to think about some of the hard places and some of the things that God allowed me to make it through. And
Mm.
it was all kind of things happened while I was
Yes.
reading
All
this
kind of emotions.
all kind of emotions.
yeah.
So I would really, really advise you all to get your copy, get a couple of copies of 30 Summers Left, share it with family and friends. It is a must read. And this book is going places. I have seen, I've worked with several authors, and I the commitment to this that I have seen in Taheise has been so encouraging and so inspiring, that she understands the value of this, of this legacy that's in this book and in writing.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. You recently did your book launch party, right?
I did. I
How was that?
did.
How was
It was an absolute success. I was elated and so blessed by everyone that came out. It was amazing. I don't really have a whole lot of words except for thank you to everyone that came out
it?
and supported and showed up and got a book and has read the book and will read the book. Some people just bought the book just because it was me and it was my story, and I appreciate it. Open the pages, read it. And Yeah, I had a wonderful time at the book launch, and just kind of seeing how God just worked his hand, even through that. I'm all about details, and so just to see all those details come together like that in a short period of time was just wonderful, and have everyone there to just celebrate with me was great. It really was.
Awesome. Well deserved, because you've done an amazing job at getting, of course, the book done, and then just being forthright. And one thing I always tell authors, you cannot write a book and then hide it under your bed.
Right,
You write a book
right.
for people to read it, and you've done a good job of getting it out there. We have a few moments left, and I really want to give you this time to really to do two things, to tell us, what's next for, Taheise, and um, just, what you're going to do with your writing, and what you see this book doing. What if you had to, prophesy over
Hmm.
this book, and
Mm,
what it's going to do, what would that sound like? What would that look like? And just tell us what's next for you as well.
sure, sure. So I've been I don't even know what the word is. I've been slowly, kind of taking a look at life now and just kind of saying, okay, what are we about to do? And I see in my future, in my very near future, that there's going to be several more books. I understand, even in writing 30 Summers Left, that is not the end. There's more that I could add to 30 Summers Left. I'd like to re-release it with even some more details and information, as well as talking about the process that I have gone through in the last couple of years to be where I sit today. In a space of healing, in a space of open to um, whatever the next assignment is that God has for me. And I do believe that includes, being, I do believe that includes being a writer. So, the next book will talk about, my process of after Dante transitioned and what I went through. Because here's the thing, we don't talk enough about um, what we as maybe not even women. I would say people who lose their spouses. We don't talk enough about it. Like it happens a little bit for a little bit of time when someone first passes, but then kind of fades away. Out of sight, out of mind, kind of thing. And I went through some things. I love God, but I was even questioning that. I even do I really love him? Was it only about what he could give me, and because he didn't give me what I want, do I really, I don't even know, if I really love him. And so I went through a lot. I went through a lot the first, 12, 18 months after Dante transitioned. And so, I want to speak to that a little bit more in more detail and
Mm,
talk about my process and
yeah,
hope that it resonates with other widows and widowers. And I have to tell you that I never thought, I honestly never, I would be in a space where I would be, wanting to be some kind of, spokesperson per
yeah,
se,
yeah.
for widows. So I kind of see that. And even
Oh
like I
my
said,
goodness.
with my I have an organizing business that I know that the Lord gave me back in 2008. And like I said, my friend has said to me a couple of times, like, you could really help some people out who don't know how to get rid of things, because you did that and you did it effortlessly. um I did, I still have some things, but um it was necessary for me to do that. It was necessary for me. And so I would maybe even like to help, widows and widowers who would
Yeah,
like to move forward and don't know how to do it. I
yeah,
can come in as an objective person and say, hey, this is what we can do with this is what we can do with that. So I kind of see, I see that as well. So I see books, I see, my organizing business taking on a certain turn. I feel like I'm in this niche, this niche market, that
yeah,
not everyone not everyone is able to go to, but because of my experience, I am. And so that's, I mean, in the near future, that's really where I see myself and what I see myself doing. Thank you, Jasmine.
yes. The Jasmine popped in, and we were talking about you. We were talking about you a little
Mhm.
earlier about how um, amazing you are in the process of what we're talking about tonight, and helping authors get to this point, and Taheise in particular. We were just singing your praises, man. Singing your praises. So good to see you on. Wow. So this has been amazing. This has been really good,
Yeah,
Taheise.
it has.
I am so very thrilled and honored to have the privilege of, having published the book and having 30 summers left, and you in the scroll of Level Up publishing authors. Just a blessing, just a blessing. And we're looking toward more books, some amazing things that you're going to do. Definitely did see that as well with your being that voice that would help others make it through the process that the Lord has um, just blessed you to be able to come through and continue to go
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
I paused there for a minute because I thought about what your friend said
Mm,
about it being a gift.
mm.
I just thought about this as we were talking. Um, Gifts are meant to be given. Yeah.
That's good. That's journal worthy, as you say. That is journal worthy.
Just hit me. That pause came
Yeah.
out because I heard Holy Spirit say that.
Yep.
And so you will give this gift
Yeah.
to others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Um,
believe that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we thank God for you. We thank God for your just your obedience and your willingness to be transparent and share your story with the world. We have great expectations for this book and the next one and the next one and the next one.
Right. You're right about that. And let me just say, I just want to say really quickly because during the book launch, I was able to give this to everyone that purchased the book at the book launch. Is I made I am extra, so I made a soundtrack to the book. And so it's a compilation of songs, R&B, gospel, jazz,
Oh,
some pop. And so that is on the inside of the books that I have in my possession.
okay, okay.
And then there is a QR code on the back that takes you right to the playlist. Again, this is what I put in the books
Oh, and
for my
okay.
book launch. So the reason why I'm mentioning that is you can definitely go on Amazon.com, but you can certainly reach out to me by email, text, Facebook, and you will get a personal copy that has that playlist and the QR code, as well as it being autographed by me. So
It's
you may want
amazing.
to think about that.
What's your email address?
TahiseAdele@gmail.com. TahiseAdale at
Mm-hmm.
Gmail.
I think I did it right. Yes. So there's the email that you guys can contact Taheise there, TahiseAdele@gmail.com, and get your autographed copy of 30 Summers Left. And also get those added perks of the soundtracks.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Another release of another amazing author and her work, 30 Summers Left. It's out there. It's ready. It's ready for the reading. So get out there, get your copy, either contact Taheise or go out to Amazon and get your copy. However you do it, just do it.
Get
That's
it.
what I want
Right.
to do.
Just do it.
Yes, just do it. Well, thank you so much. We're going to go and
Thank
wrap up
you.
tonight. For all
Yes.
of those who came on tonight, God bless you. Thank you for being on. And we'll be back with our next author. The next author, we got some more coming. We got some more coming. And if you're interested in getting your book published, you need to reach out. nextleveluppublishing.com and let us know. It's time to get that book out of your head and into the world. Until next time, God bless you. And don't forget, your writing is the legacy that you leave in the world. It's your voice that speaks for you. even after you're
Long
gone.
after you're gone.
Yes,
Wow.
long after you're gone.
Yep.
God bless you.
God
Love you
bless
so
you.
much.
Thank you.